Okay, so let's dive in. Have you ever felt that consuming urge, that feeling of being completely steered by a desire that, well, it doesn't quite feel like your own?
Yeah, it can be incredibly potent, demanding, relentless even.
Absolutely. And it promises so much, doesn't it? Escape, maybe immediate relief, or even this fleeting sense of power.
But then,
Yeah.
what happens after when that wave breaks?
Exactly. What's left is often just this heavy feeling, exhaustion, shame, or sometimes feeling even more isolated than before.
Mm-hmm. And that internal conflict, where a totally natural impulse starts to feel like it's harming you. That's really what we're digging into today.
Right.
When these intense feelings start eating up your emotional energy, your time, undermining your goals, the question isn't just how to resist.
It becomes why. Why does this impulse have such a powerful grip on you in the first place?
Precisely.
So our mission today isn't about judgment. It's not about just gritting your teeth and using willpower.
No, not at all.
We're going deep, looking at the source material to uncover the hidden emotional structures, really, that drive these consuming sexual feelings.
Think of it like finding the roots. If you understand the roots, you realize you actually have more power to manage things than you might believe right now.
Okay, so where do we start? If we want to dismantle the power of lust, where's the first place to look?
We have to bypass the immediate urge itself initially. We need to start with the emotional foundation.
Yeah.
And the single most powerful emotion, the one that often acts like a catalyst, magnifying every little desire into this overwhelming need, is loneliness.
Loneliness. Wow, okay. That makes sense. It's kind of insidious, isn't it?
It really is, because it fundamentally confuses our internal wiring about what we're truly craving.
How so?
Well, it makes it almost impossible sometimes to distinguish between a genuine, mature desire for emotional intimacy, wanting to be known and cared for, and just sort of panicked craving for physical connection. Some researchers even call it skin hunger.
Skin hunger. I've heard that. So you might be looking for real companionship, but the loneliness pushes you towards, well, the quickest physical substitute.
Exactly. It misdirects that powerful energy. And what's really critical is recognizing the trap that creates.
The trap.
Yeah, the cycle. You feel that ache of loneliness, right? So you try to fill it, maybe with hookups, endless scrolling on apps, compulsive viewing.
In there.
But the result, often, it actually deepens the loneliness. The connection was fleeting, maybe shallow.
Right, it wasn't real connection.
Exactly. And once that temporary relief fades, the original void feels, well, bigger, more painful than before.
It's that late night crash, isn't it? You keep busy all day, work, projects, social media, whatever. But when everything gets quiet and that internal noise turns up, that ache just hits hard.
And that's when the thing you promised yourself you wouldn't do suddenly feels irresistible. That emotional state is the engine driving it.
Okay, so if loneliness is the engine, what's the solution? How do you break that cycle?
Well, the solution lies in rebuilding your emotional support structure. It's about taking concrete steps to fill that emotional gap with genuine, non-sexual relationships.
So like real connection for its own sake.
Precisely. Actively pursuing it, maybe volunteering, finding a really absorbing hobby that involves other people, or intentionally cultivating deep, dependable friendships.
Friendships where you can be vulnerable without expecting anything physical.
Yes. That structural integrity, that sense of real belonging and connection needs to be restored. Only then do those urges start to lose their intense power.
Okay, that covers the void of loneliness. But what if the issue isn't emptiness, but chaos, like stress, boredom?
That's a really important point.
Because sometimes you wonder, isn't this just hormones? Why bring all this psychology into it?
Well, it's a fair question. Hormones definitely provide the biological fuel, you could say.
Right.
But the sources we looked at show that the psychological context, your emotional state, dictates when and how that fuel gets used compulsively.
Yeah.
So yeah, lust often flares up when you're feeling stressed, maybe intensely bored, or just generally overwhelmed. It becomes this reliable, immediate escape valve for all that internal chaos.
And there's data on this, isn't there, showing this escape mechanism in action.
Oh, absolutely. It gets really interesting when you look at periods of intense collective stress. Think back to the early lockdowns, for instance.
Yeah, that was intense.
During that time, OnlyFans reported a huge surge, 3.7 million new signups. And get this, 60,000 new creators joined.
Wow. That's staggering.
It's not just curiosity at that scale. It's strong evidence that when collective stress and boredom peak, people instinctively turn to compulsive sexual consumption or even performance as a quick psychological escape.
So it's a coping mechanism, essentially.
Exactly. And the core issue here, academically speaking, is often emotional dysregulation.
Emotional dysregulation. Okay, break that down.
Simply put, your emotional system gets overwhelmed. You don't yet have the skills, maybe, to manage the intensity of what you're feeling, the stress, the anxiety, the anger.
So instead of dealing with the feeling,
The mind just defaults to the quickest, most potent distraction available, and often that's sex or porn.
it's kind of brilliant, psychologically speaking. The immediate hit just distracts your brain from the real problem underneath.
It's a very effective, high-octane distraction, even though, like you said, we know deep down it doesn't actually solve the stress or the boredom.
So controlling the lust really means managing the emotions driving it.
That's the key. And this is why certain therapeutic approaches can be so helpful. DBT or dialectical behavior therapy, for example.
DBT, right. I've heard of that.
It's focused entirely on teaching practical skills, how to manage intense emotions, handle distress better, improve relationships. It's about practical tools, not necessarily years of analysis.
So day to day, what does that look like?
It means starting to recognize your specific emotional triggers. Is it a looming deadline, a difficult conversation, or just a quiet Friday night?
Okay, identify the trigger.
And then, when you feel that urge starting, practice an immediate grounding technique. Deep, structured breathing, for example. Anything to stop the emotional hijack before it fully takes hold.
Interrupt the pattern.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered loneliness, we've covered stress and chaos. What's the third big driver you see in the source material?
Well, this one's also huge. It's the drive stemming from an internal need for validation.
Validation. Wanting to feel desired, powerful, maybe covering up insecurity.
Precisely. The need to be desired can become this dangerous but very tempting temporary boost to self-esteem. And to really illustrate the potential cost of chasing validation this way, we can look at a pretty compelling, though maybe unsettling, case study, the OnlyFans creator, Lily Phillips.
Oh, right. The one who documented trying to sleep with 101 men in a day.
That's the one. It got a lot of media coverage.
Now, on the surface, you'd think that's the ultimate external validation, right? Subscribers paying, constant compliments, proof of desirability.
That's how it might appear. But the internal reality she described later, it paints a really visceral picture of the emotional toll.
What did she say?
In the documentary about it, she became quite emotional. She talked about feeling profound disassociation, guilt. She even mentioned feeling robotic during it all.
Wow, robotic.
And interestingly, she seemed less concerned about the physical act itself and more worried about disappointing her supporters, her audience, by not being able to connect with everyone.
So the need for their validation was driving her way past her own emotional limits.
It seems so. And this really highlights a dangerous truth. Confident, healthy sex can absolutely be a valid way to feel desired within a good context.
Sure, in a healthy relationship or situation.
Right. But seeking validation through hookups or performance when deep insecurities are actually running the show, it only offers fleeting transactional relief.
Transactional, that's a good word for it.
Yeah, you're essentially trading your inner peace, maybe even your self-respect, for temporary external approval.
And that can't be sustainable.
No. It ultimately erodes genuine self-confidence. It conditions you to need that constant external input to feel worthy. And that can lead to risky situations or, frankly, toxic relationships.
So how do you break that cycle if it's about validation?
It takes courage. You have to step back and honestly ask yourself, what's really lowering my self-esteem here?
Digging deeper again.
Is it dissatisfaction at work, body image issues, maybe unresolved stuff from childhood? Understanding those core insecurities is the essential first step.
And then you can start building real confidence internally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only way to loosen the grip of needing those short-term external fixes.
Okay. This is all really helpful in understanding the why. Now let's pivot a bit. What about just the thoughts themselves? The unwanted lustful thoughts that pop into your head?
Ah, yes, the internal struggle. It's incredibly frustrating when those thoughts invade your mind, isn't it?
Totally. And the first instinct is just push them away, suppress them.
Right. But all the research shows our brains don't work like that. They actually rebel against suppression.
It's the classic pink elephant idea, right? Try not to think of a pink elephant.
And what happens? All you can see is a pink elephant. The more you fight the thought, the stronger and more persistent it becomes.
So what's the alternative if you can't push them away?
The solution, maybe paradoxically, is to allow the thought to exist, but without granting it power. Let it float by without judgment.
Easier said than done, maybe.
It takes practice, definitely. But this is where mindfulness techniques can be liberating.
Like what?
Instead of wrestling with the thought, you simply notice it. You name it, maybe. Ah, that's a thought about stress relief, or okay, that's an impulse for escape. And then you let it go.
Just observe it without engaging.
Exactly. Simple things like structured journaling, guided meditation, or even actively channeling that intense energy into something creative or physical can create distance.
And the key is not judging yourself for having the thought in the first place.
Absolutely critical. Having these thoughts doesn't define you. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just neurological noise, part of being human. The practice is about self-compassion and curiosity, not guilt.
It's interesting you bring up Lily Phillips again, because her story didn't end there, did it?
No, unfortunately. It serves as a pretty stark illustration of what can happen when that grip of validation seeking and emotional dysregulation doesn't loosen.
What happened next?
Well, despite the documented emotional distress from the first challenge, she later announced a new, even more extreme goal: sleeping with 1,000 men.
1,000. Wow.
This kind of continuous acceleration just highlights the very real costs, physical, emotional, of getting lost in these consuming feelings. You risk STDs, serious emotional distress, making decisions that fundamentally go against your own core values.
It really underscores the need for, well, a lifeline sometime.
Absolutely. And that's the final crucial point. If you feel utterly stuck, if these urges are seriously impacting your job, your relationships, your health, seeking professional help is vital.
Therapy counts.
Yes, therapy. Counseling focused specifically on sexual health, sometimes even medication to help stabilize mood if needed. It is absolutely not a sign of failure.
It's the opposite, really. It's a brave step.
It's a proactive, powerful step toward taking back control of your life. Finding a qualified professional who really understands the dynamics of compulsive behaviors, that can be the key to unlocking lasting freedom.
So, bringing this all together for you, listening, it seems like regaining control over consuming lust isn't about fighting the desire head-on.
No, it's more like emotional triage.
Right. Understanding and starting to heal the underlying drivers that ache of loneliness, the chaos of stress, the deep need for external validation.
And applying self-compassion and developing healthier coping mechanisms along the way, that's the path forward.
It really changes the perspective.
And if we zoom out for a final thought, it's kind of provocative, maybe? If our minds are so easily driven to extremes, sometimes even self-destructive behaviors like compulsion or addiction, just because of internal chaos, unmet needs, chronic stress, what does that really tell us about the fundamental stability of the human mind?
It's a big question.
And maybe more importantly for self-reflection, what other areas of our lives, the less obvious ones, maybe our spending habits, our relationship with food, our career chases, are being secretly steered by these exact same unresolved emotional needs that also fuel consuming lust?
Wow. That really makes you think about the hidden currents driving our decisions across the board.
It does.
But hopefully, understanding the mechanics, like we've discussed today, makes it all feel a bit less overwhelming. Knowing why your brain might be reacting a certain way gives you power.
Absolutely.
So take this knowledge, reflect on those drivers we talked about, and remember that every small step you take towards understanding and reclaiming your internal landscape, that's a victory.